Hi guys, hamjambo, which directly translates to how are you, by the way, that is Swahili. This is Patsy Gidenji and it is yet another amazing episode of That's How Patsy Sees It. So I have been seeing a very interesting conversation online, and this is a conversation around trans people being counted in the 2029 census. Now, I have seen a back and forth, people saying, no, that is misinformation. They have not actually said it. And some are saying, indeed, they have. And of course, blogs are using that as clickbait. And the first thing they do is they rage bait people to insult trans people. And then in turn, they get what? Interaction. So stay guided. Don't be a victim. Usikue fala. Don't be fooled. Yeah? So I want to say this. Trans people being excluded from the census is actually policy level erasure. But also, I have very hot takes about this. It's a bittersweet kind of situation. It's not one shoe fits all kind of situation. It's a dance. It's a dance really. And let's get right into the video. I hope you've subscribed, by the way. Subscribe. Kwa nini yaki? Mbona just subscribe? Just go subscribe and like the video and share also, because we are going to share so much interesting, thought-provoking conversations. We are going to be doing everything. We are going to be having fun, a lot of it. So like I promised, let's get into the video. So the first thing is, you can't plan for people that you have refused to count, because literally that is you not acknowledging their existence. And it's very funny that and this is even statement I hear from policymakers, people saying that trans people don't exist. Please prove that they do. And then people like Patsy, who have literally been existing for a minute, and so many other people come up and say, we are here. And then guess what? The same system, the same policymakers actually bring systems that make sure that you're silenced. And so I'm just like, wow, y'all are dramatic. So yes, you can't make plans for people that you have refused to count. And so if you are insinuating that maybe policies around the trans identity are to be implemented, you have to know how many trans people exist. And here are my takes. If you think trans people shouldn't be counted, why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they? And if you have any reason, or if you have a reason as to why trans people shouldn't be counted during the census, I hope these are your reasons, really. The first one is, I am very concerned that there might be privacy and data misuse. Is this data or data? Data, potato or whatever, data misuse. And this means that the data collected could be weaponized and, leaked for the wrong purposes. For example, I was just asking, in terms of safety, these people that conduct the census go, from one house to the other. The main question is, supposing they come into my residence and I indeed disclose that I am trans, what does that mean for me? Have I given myself up to the rogue regimes? Am I giving my life to the people that don't wish me well? Am I giving my life to a judicial system that does not believe in my existence and my identity? In case the government then decides that it's illegal to be one thing or the other. What does that mean for me? And so while we are celebrating that finally they have acknowledged us, they see us, da 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 da, remember that could also be a very risky trajectory of this particular conversation. The next thing is false reporting. And when, for example, when they announced about, the disability and that there was funds, of course I hear those funds like don't really get to the rightful owners. And I feel like this is actually one of the things, the fact that there is false recording of information, false recording and reporting of information. Because now you find that everyone is literally struggling to find a disability that they have. Yeah? I hit my toenails and I'm just like, yes, my nails are not like everyone else, so I am disabled, so and so I feel, because also when we think about asylum seeking, and let's just get that one as one of the reasons. The reason why it's very difficult currently for even queer people who are in danger, or even people that are in genuine danger, maybe because they are threatened by their states, to get a relocation or to even seek asylum in different countries. It is because of these kind of things. People have become, people are masquerading as who they are not. And so how do we actually know that the people that will be reporting as trans are actually trans? And I want to sneak in this conversation at this particular time. I love my non-binary folks. I really, really love them. And I have quite a number of people and friends, people that are close to me that are actually non-binary. There's one thing, however, that I don't like. Trans people cannot be trying to sneak themselves into the intersex community because there are certain gains. Yeah? Trans people cannot be, I'm really trying to avoid this word, but I saw someone saying that some of us are greedy with identities. We want to be labeled as everything, which in my opinion is not possible. And so if you are non-binary, this is not the debate today, but we just have to get into it, like just in a very shallow manner. If you're non-binary, it actually suggests that you don't subscribe to the binary genders, yeah? Transgender actually subscribes to the binary. That is why there is transgender man, transgender woman. Yeah? And so when I see people trying to coin these identities behind the illusion that gender is a social construct, yes, gender is a social construct. But at the end of the day, if we actually unpack what gender being a social construct means, it actually suggests that several things come into play. And some of these things, it's the culture, it is the timing, it is the cultural values. Yeah? And so maybe, I don't know. And I'm going to host an non-binary person. If you're one of them watching this video, maybe volunteer and come, not necessarily defend your own, clear the air, and maybe let's talk really. I'm really respectful, by the way. I'm going to say that I really love to hear people out. As long as you're not being disrespectful, I am usually very willing to listen to people, because I really want to know what do non-binary people actually want, because I don't want to believe that non-binary people want to identify as trans, because I feel like this is contradicting even in the definition. And because of this, it's actually counterproductive to the advocacy, because this is where now anti-gender actors actually come at us, drag us by our edges, and say that we actually do not know what we want. We don't even know how to describe ourselves. And I am not a person who really shies away from learning, but at the end of the day, we also need to realize that we are at a very green area. We are at a green time when it comes to the trans advocacy. And so to bring any sort of confusion, for lack of a better term, this is again counterproductive. It does not benefit any person. It actually takes away from our work, because at the end of the day, like, someone is trying to learn you, and then anafika mahali, or it gets to a point, and it is so confusing. They don't even know what is happening. And so just imagine what this would actually mean when it comes to census. Yeah. So if we are to advocate for policies to be implemented around the queer community, we actually need to come forth not as a group that is sort of confused, but as a group that has put themselves together, and we are able to articulate ourselves the best way we know how. I'm sure I am not the only person who at times, you are a trans person, yes, but some of the identities, you're just like, when did that one come up? And yeah, I was telling a story, by the way, about the other day during the, it's been over, like, it's almost 2 years, 2024, during the anti-finance bill protests. And this little boy came to me and told me, Uncle, nipatia flag. And because of the way I was dressed, I was just like, I don't even blame you. Timing, cultural norms, yeah? And again, this is not me trying to say this. I am speaking for the entire community. So again, this is an invitation to any non-binary person. Kindly come forth and have a conversation with me. And to wrap that up, what I think is trans and non-binary is just non-binary. So in the event that non-binary people want the trans community to actually be in solidarity, that is something I am willing to do. But asking that the two exist together and sort of insinuate that they can be used interchangeably, I feel like that is misleading, and it takes away from either conversation. If trans needs and non-binary needs are actually placed together, one of them is going to sort of overshadow the other, and that is not something I think we want, especially at this young stage. And so I believe the two can actually exist independently, and both of them are very much valid. Yeah, both of them are very much valid. And the next question was about trans siblings who are not on hormones. I don't think your transness is actually measured by hormonal transition, because at the end of the day, we have different reasons why people cannot access the hormones, or are not able to partake in that. Maybe because of their health status, maybe they have issues with their kidneys, issues with their liver. It's also quite expensive. And so yeah, definitely that is not like something that really determines. And so you can fail to be on hormones and still be trans. But I have some views about it also. Am I about to sound conservative? I'm going to use my own example. It would have been very unfair when that boy said encore because I was dressed the way I was, and I start fighting about it, saying that is transphobic and that I need to be called she, her, because clearly, I hate to say it, but it wasn't giving she, her. And so this wraps up the whole conversation. I don't want to be cancelled. That is actually what I think. Yeah, The next one that the next issue that could be there. So we were talking about if you think trans people should not be considered during census. This should be the other reason. This is the third one: political backlash or targeting. And this one I love to name it and say that it's spotlighted. You know, being placed on a spotlight. I don't know if you guys realized, but most of like the hatred towards queer people actually happened, or rather happens, every time there is a very like politically centered conversation around queer people in the mainstream. And a very clear example is when Nigel Hack was being registered as an organization. That is when people took advantage to misconstrue the whole conversation. That is when people took advantage to spread misinformation and disinformation. That is the time when, literally, and that was the time when I was being threatened, if any of y'all can remember. And so every time I see such like a debate where I am supposed to be platformed, my identity is supposed to be platformed, I get worried. I get worried. I am actually one of the people who usually say, and again, this is something that I might get backlash for, but at times I just like, let me be. Yeah, just let me be. Just let me be. So yes, the political targeting, the political backlash, it's a future I foresee. So the question I have right now is the government able to count trans people safely? Is the government able to count trans people safely? That is a question I am going to throw at you. Give me the answer down in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe also. Make sure you like. Yeah. Inclusion without safety is dangerous. Safety without inclusion is erasure. We need both. We need safety. We need inclusion. And that's how Patsy sees it.